For each of the 3 books that I've written, I started those projects in very different ways. For my first book, The Summer House in Santorini, I started with a full-fledged outline. I did all of my plotting before I started writing. For my second book, The Summer Wedding in Santorini, I already had the characters to work with, and I had an idea of what I wanted the plot to look like, so I started writing from the very beginning. And then for the first book of Project Gilbert, which is currently with my editor for feedback, the first thing I wrote in that was actually something in the middle of the story. I then went back and tried to start from the beginning, but I didn't do anything or write anything down until I started writing. So it's ranged from full-on plotting to full-on pantsing. Moving forward, I think I'm gonna be towards the pantsing end of the spectrum, but I have pulled back from full-on pantsing now. And it's not actually for plot reasons, it's for character reasons. And that's because I think to create compelling character arcs, you have to do at least a little bit of plotting. You have to understand what it is that you want the end state to be and what are the steps that are going to need to be taken to get your character from point A to point B. And if you don't do that work, then you're just kind of blindly writing your way through a character arc, which can make it feel really hard-won and not in a good way. Or it might mean that you meander so much that you never actually arrive at a compelling character arc. Similarly, if you focus too much on plot, then you'll have a lot of things happening to your character, but you won't necessarily have a good sense of how they need to be responding to those things in order for that character arc to take place. So all of that to say, I'm starting a new project. I've just sent off a book to my editor for feedback. It's gonna be like a month before she gets back to me. And so rather than starting on Project Gilbert book 2, because I wanna wait for her feedback before I start on that, I'm gonna start on a brand new project. It's something quite different. It's still romance, but it's a bit more speculative, and we're calling it Project Dreamer. And by we, I mean me and hopefully now you. But I'm gonna start this novel very differently than I've started ones in the past. And that's because while I have in my mind a lot of what I want the plot to look like, the character didn't come to me as fully formed, and it's really important to me that I create a really strong sense of character, and especially for the plot beats that I have in mind, they need to feel really resonant to the character arc if the reader is going to be on board with them. So what I've done, I'm gonna walk you through some of the exercises that I've done to really wrap my head around my character in a way that can inform my writing moving forward. And then what we'll do is we will write the first scene of my new project together. So over the last week, I have spent my writing sprints not writing actual stuff for the story, not anything that will actually end up in the story, but rather scenes that are helping me get to know my character. Before I've done this, I've done a bit of research around sort of personality types, specifically using the Enneagram, for example. If that's something that you are interested in, let me know in the comments and I can make a full video about how I used the Enneagram to kind of shape the character arc that I wanted to take my main character on. But once I established sort of the base personality traits of my main character, whose name is Thea, I wanted to really get a better sense for who she is as a person, because we're not all just a list of personality traits, right? Those personality traits manifest in really interesting and idiosyncratic kinds of ways in our lives. And so with the help of some of my writer pals and also my own imagination, I've come up with a list of writing exercises that can really help you get to know your character and also help surface ideas for the story itself. Writing exercise number 1 that I did was my main character buying a gift for her mother. Now this does a few things. First of all, it tells us a lot about the character's personality in the gift-giving situation. So how does she go about choosing a gift? Does she just order something last minute versus think really hard about it? Does she go physical shopping versus online shopping? Does she go for more expensive, extravagant type gift, or does she go for something more personal and sentimental? Is there any kind of artistic inclination as part of it? And for my character in particular, she's a very artistic person. She actually paints, and her mother's very artistic as well. And so her buying a gift for her mother, with whom she is quite close, is a very sentimental experience where she's trying to find exactly the right thing to give to her mom. And the extravagance of the gift comes really second place to how well it fits with her mother's personality and what she would like. It's also a very sentimental shopping experience because she's thinking a lot about her mom, who she views very fondly. It also tells us a lot about that relationship between the two of them. So as I was writing this scene, I found that there were memories that I was including between her and her mother from when she was a child, from when they went on a family holiday, also more recent memories of like the last time she spoke to her mother, what they were going to be doing for her mother's birthday. And that gives a lot of insight into that relationship and the familial relationships as a whole. She's reflecting on what her dad might get for her mom, what her siblings might get for her mom. And so you get a glimpse of her relationship with those people as well. Obviously, you could change out the person that your main character is shopping for very easily in order to make it more relevant to the story and the character that you have in mind. Based on the gift that she got, it actually gave me a really good idea for the plot, and I think I will keep a gift giving scene or a gift shopping scene in the story, although I'll probably rewrite it. The next one, and this is an idea from the writing group that I'm in, is to write a scene of your character making a sandwich. My character's a bit of a foodie, so she is trying to make it like interesting. She really values like shopping local, so she goes and gets really nice bread from the bakery, and she tries to get like local cheeses as well. So I learned a lot about my character in terms of her values and some of the things that she brings into her day-to-day life, or things that she wishes she could bring more of into her day-to-day life. Also about the way that she treats the things that she owns. So she's got like a set of crockery that she really loves because it was made by like a local artisan, and she got it and she spent tons of money on it, but she loves it. And so she's really careful to like wash her dishes by hand every time she uses them because they're prized possessions of hers. And the way that she values and cares for those things tells us a lot about her personality. One of the people in my writing group is telling me that when she wrote a scene with her character making a sandwich, her character was the type of person to like use a spoon to spread something on the bread and then lick the spoon and put it back in the drawer. Which is disgusting, but also that's so characterizing. Like the type of character that would do that is like so distinct. And so this is a really interesting way to just learn a little bit more about who your character is when they're on their own and how they treat sort of the things around them and what their attitude is towards like domestic chores and things as well. The third writing exercise is a little bit hokey and is probably unlikely to end up in your final story in any capacity, but that is to have your character either creating when they're younger or opening when they're older a time capsule. So for me, I did it that she was opening a time capsule that she made when she was younger. And this is really interesting because you can see like what are the things that are important to them or were important to them when they were younger? What are those like really sentimental touchstone moments? What are their relationships like with their family? How have those relationships changed over time? Does your character feel really nostalgic about the past, really cynical about the past, or cynical about the future, optimistic, pessimistic? It gives you a lot of insight into their outlook and how their outlook changes or might change as they age, especially since a lot of character arcs are about coming back to a part of yourself that's been lost along the way. This time capsule writing exercise is a really good opportunity to start to understand what that might look like for your character. What is it that they've lost along the way that they want to get back? And then the final writing exercise that I've done is kind of a boring one, and this is just to write out your character's day-to-day life. So just write from their point of view, the point of view that you're using in the story, them having a really normal, uneventful day. Don't try to introduce conflict that wouldn't be there in a normal day-to-day. I'm not saying don't put emotion into it, because that emotion is actually what we're trying to get in touch with there. We're trying to better understand what is the status quo for this character at the beginning of the story. What does a normal day, a normal experience look like for them, so that you can really encapsulate that in the very beginning of your story, and it makes our inciting incident and the subsequent character arc and plot journey contrast better with that and pay off some of those emotions and desires that are present even in that status quo. So those are our 4 exercises: buying a present for someone, making a sandwich, creating or opening a time capsule, and then having a very boring, mundane day in their life. And as I've done those writing exercises, I've really found a lot of clarity around who my character is, what character arc is that I'm taking her on, as well as some of the story elements. And while I've had in my mind what are the plot beats that I want to hit as I'm writing. I haven't plotted those out really specifically. Instead, what I'm being really intentional about is understanding what is the character arc that I want to create, so that as I go and start writing, which I'm going to be doing from the beginning, as I'm aiming towards those plot points or those pinch points, I'm doing it in a way that's meaningful to the character arc, because I am informed about who my character is and what I want her to become. So hopefully that's helpful for you to understand why doing this character work can be really useful. And if you are someone who likes to outline, that's absolutely fine as well. You can have that outline, but also do this character work, so that as you're going through your outline, you're making sure that each beat on your outline is meaningful to the character arc, not just an interesting plot thing to happen. So now that I have done all of those writing exercises, I think I'm ready to get started. So I'm going to join a sprint in a few minutes, and we're going to write for like an hour. And I'm just gonna see how far I get. I'm just gonna start from the very beginning, see what happens. And I'm really starting off with a bang with this one. This character is, at the very beginning of the story, waking up from a sex dream. So I've gotta get myself in the zone for that, I guess. And let's do some writing and see how we get on. I don't know, just as many as happen. Okay, see you then. Okay, so that was a very productive writing session. I wrote about 1,400 words, and I definitely am already seeing the value of the character work that I've done, because the situation that happens right after she wakes up, different characters would have responded to in very different ways. And so I'm glad that I especially did the sandwich making exercise. I weirdly found that one to be the most like informative to this bit that I was writing at the beginning. And then of course, I obviously found her like day-to-day routine really helpful, because that's the status quo that I'm entering straight into at the beginning of the story. But yeah, that is the first words done of Project Dreamer. I don't anticipate getting very far through this project before my edits come back from my editor for Project Gilbert Book 1. And as soon as those edits come back, I will jump straight back into Project Gilbert, whether that's edits for Book 1 or starting on Book 2. I don't know the approach she'll want me to take to that. I also am actively promoting Summer Wedding in Santorini right now, because it comes out on the 2nd of March, 2023. So if you're watching this video beforehand, then go pre-order it, and after the fact, then make sure you go pick it up. So I'm keeping Project Dreamer really casual. I don't even know if I'll do any more writing vlogs about it at this stage, but I did want to start something, and I wanted to use this sort of limbo time before I get my feedback to do something productive, but also to do something quite different to the project I was working on, just sort of give my brain something else to do and a different gear to move in for a while without breaking my writing habit. Let me know in the comments if you want to see any more vlogs about Project Dreamer. And of course, if you're not already, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you can see my next writing vlog when it does come out, whether that's about Project Dreamer or not. I also share lots of other videos about books, not just my books, but all the books that I'm reading and enjoying and my favorite books. So if you don't want to miss that, be sure to follow along. And don't forget, Summer Wedding in Santorini is out on the 2nd of March, and I'm super excited to share this one with you guys. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.